Okay, hello, Fook. I cannot hear you, Fook.
Hello, dengar tak? Hello, hello, hello. Ya, ya. Hello. Hello. Apa tau? Dengar tak?
Okay. Alright.
Clear atau perlahan atau
Okay lah. Okay.
okey lah?
Uh,
Okey.
I think if you speak louder, it should be better.
Sekejap, so macam mana ni? Um,
Okay, cakap dengan semangat. Okay.
okay. Sekarang okey tak?
Yes.
Tak juga.
Yes. Okay. Alright.
Better. I
Yes,
tengok
definitely.
setting jap. Sound system. Output device, input device. Add volume. Okay lah kot. How are you, Aizah?
Fine, thank you. So good to have you. Okay, so I think we are ready to start our session. It's exactly 10 o'clock. Okay, so dengan ini saya mengucapkan selamat datang pada semua. So we are here in series number 6, program Go Big with Digital. So tulisan penyataan anda semasa wabak pandemik COVID-19. So bersama saya adalah Syed Ahmad Fahaz Syed Azia, CEO of Katsana. Dan saya Nuraiza daripada MedCat World. I'm a mobile application developer. So series ini di-host oleh NEF, Persatuan Usahawan dan Industri ICT Bumi Putra Malaysia, bersama dengan MPC Malaysia Productivity Corporation. Dan di MPC ni we have a entity called Digital Productivity Nexus. So DPN is driven by the private sector, led by Yang Berbahagia Datuk Wei Chuan Beng. So the role of DPN is to improve awareness and adoption of sector level initiatives, empower enterprises by developing and disseminating digital adoption tools that will boost productivity, and to foster knowledge sharing through productivity experts for breakthrough results. Okay, so today we are going to talk about kesana kesini ke manakah kat sana. So salam Fook, apa khabar?
Kesana.
Fook di sana, apa khabar?
Kau baik. Aizah macam mana?
Okay, kat office ke ni?
Ya, kat office. Kita dah start working kat office tapi gila-gila macam one department per day so that tak ada inter-department contamination lah antara each department.
Seriously?
So macam hari ni I think the management and the sales team and then esok will be the developers, lusa will be the sales marketing team, the marketing team. Dia pecah-pecah kan. So tak nak ada contamination.
So you also don't show up lah during the technical team and all that?
Tak, kita sebenarnya benda-benda technical dia dah cara join.
Okay.
Itu dah, they have their own department already.
Leader and all that. Okay.
Dah ada kepala dia orang sendiri dah. So I dah no longer join the detail stuff lah. I just
Alright.
Okay lah.
Okay, so you are now the real CEO lah.
dulu chief everything officer kan. So sekarang is chief executive lah.
Alright, excellent. So siapakah Syed Fukahar? Sebab I remember you are an architect kan?
Bukanlah architect. I trained to be an architect. I graduate with Bachelor of Science in Architecture, UM.
Okay.
That was 2010. Tapi semasa saya buat study architecture tu, my dad meninggal masa tahun pertama, first semester tu. So architecture ni kan kos yang sangat mahal. Banyak duit habis untuk buat model, beli pen, beli kertas, macam-macam lah. So I had to find a way to make money untuk bayar pembelajaran architecture tu. So what I did, I know a bit of not to say programming, tapi I know a bit of web development lah. Kan kita familiar dengan WordPress, dengan Joomla, Drupal and so on kan. So back in 2008, 2009, I think I was quite good lah buat website guna content management system ni, CMS. So I start to offer my service lah to do website for other people, and then at that time juga I kenal seorang legend Joomla, nama dia Azrul Rahim. Kalau korang kenal Azrul Rahim,
semua kenal. Okay.
So he's the founder of Jom Social, Jom Comment semualah. Daripada situ saya mula kerja part-time dengan Azrul Rahim, dapat gaji every month. So untuk student, that money is really important for me lah untuk bayar pembelajaran di UM tu. So daripada situ bila saya dah graduate part 1 architecture, saya macam masa awal-awal masuk architecture tu seronok lah buat architecture sebab ada design, ada hands-on punya stuff kan, buat model tu macam-macam lah. Tapi bila dah graduate tu rasa macam architecture ni tak ada life lah.
Okay.
Kan sebab if you know architect, right? Architect,
Yes.
weekend kerja, malam kerja, dalam toilet tengah buat pun kena fikir idea macam-macam tau. So satu lagi yang I tak berapa suka architecture sebab responsibility of an architect ni, dia selagi bangunan tu ada, selagi bangunan tu tegak, selagi tu you are responsible for the health of the building tau. So katakan 40 years after building tu deconstruct, kalau building tu tiba-tiba run up, the first person that authority will look for is architect dengan engineers. I cannot accept that. I tak nak lah. It is a big responsibility lah. It's nyawa orang kan. So I tak sanggup. So lepas I graduate, I terus dapat offer daripada Azrul untuk join syarikat beliau, Jom Social, jadi product manager untuk Jom Social. So Jom Social ni it's kan dulu kan semua orang
like a social plugin kan for the
betul. Semua orang nak buat social network sendiri sebab orang tengok Facebook tengah naik, and then Facebook valuation dah jadi billion, so semua orang nak jadi the next Facebook. So kita tap into the growth of the market, kita develop our own social plugin lah. Kita jual I think $50 sehingga $150 kot.
Yes, I bought the Jom Social plugin.
Masa awal tu, if I recall correctly, every few minutes ada sale. Banyak gila. So that's how I got familiar with managing people, managing developers, and also jadi orang tengah antara customer dengan developers lah. So kita kena understand psyche customers, and daripada situ kita notify developers what we need to do to cater for customer requirement lah. So dari situlah I train kebolehan dalam management, kebolehan dalam grow a new product lah. So
okay, so that is how Syed Fuqaha came to be lah kiranya. Thanks to Jom Social, right?
Thanks to Jom Social. I think at that time we had developers all over the world. Poland, Indonesia, Hong Kong, US. So that's quite good lah. It's a good training ground lah.
Okay, excellent. So what made you daripada being in Jom Social, what made you want to go out and do something on your own?
I sebenarnya tak nak keluar tapi there was 2013 I think when the company was bought over by a US company tau. So when the company bought over, I had to stay untuk set up the office kat Malaysia and also set up the team kat Malaysia lah. Tapi after I set it up, after a while benda jadi repetitive tau. Tiap-tiap hari buat benda sama. So apabila kita bangun tidur, bila bangun tidur je, you need to find a reason kenapa I kena pergi office.
Okay.
Kenapa aku kena bosan lah. Kemudian bila dah sampai office buat kerja, tengok baru pukul 12, baru pukul 1. Rasa macam I'm so bored tau. You are doing all exactly the same thing. So that is the time yang I rasa macam I need a new challenge lah. So luckily masa 2013 tu kami dibayar dalam USD. So adalah sedikit backup lah. So bila I dah rasa bosan, I terus hantar hantar resignation letter kepada my boss. Cakap I cannot do this any longer, I nak buat something new kan. Dia terima lah. It took me a few months lah to find out what I want to do. In between tu I dabble into e-commerce, import barang-barang daripada China. Ingat tak tahun 2014 kan banyak dalam Facebook orang import barang daripada China jual mahal-mahal kat Facebook kan. So one of them is me lah.
Okay.
So dari situ juga I discover yang that time I import security camera tau. Macam-macam lah, CCTV, dashcam. I also import GPS tracker. Tapi I tak terfikir langsung nak buat GPS tracker that time. Dia mula jadi nak buat GPS tracker tu bila kawan saya hilang kereta dekat depan McDonald. Bulan puasa tau. Bulan puasa lah. Bulan 8 I think. 2013. Hilang kereta depan McDonald Bangsa. Dalam tu dia ada sijil graduation dia, macam-macam lah. So sayang lah. And then we discover yang curi kereta tu is a tow truck. Kemudian a week later my brother pun hilang kereta juga. So
tidak.
So macam teruk sangat kat Malaysia ni. Takkan senang gila hilang kereta kan. So that's how I did some market research and I discover memang betul lah kat Malaysia ni kita punya kecurian, I think the last one car is stolen every 24 minutes.
Wow.
That was the statistic back then lah. So I decided there might be some market into this. So that's how we started to came up with the idea for kat sana lah.
Okay. So dengan so initially the product was imported from China lah.
That was the initial plan lah. Tapi bila kita test hardware dari China ni, ya Allah, memanglah murah tapi kualiti dia katakan you dapat koordinat kan. Koordinat dia tengok rupanya nada 100 meter. It's not precise lah. So back then we decided to import our hardware. We know from the very beginning that it doesn't make sense for us to develop our own hardware. It's too expensive kalau kita nak develop hardware sendiri. So we decided to import our hardware from Europe, from one of the Central Europe country ni, because somehow they got to know us through SEO. They discovered our site. They offered their hardware lah. Then from there we know that we have to focus on the software. We have to make the software to be device agnostic, meaning that software tu should be able to work with multiple devices lah, bukan tied up to one specific device.
Sure.
So that's how we came about lah.
Okay, excellent. So you started as a GPS tracker company lah, kiranya. You track cars.
Yes, exactly. That was the initial idea.
Okay. And how many of you were in that company masa start?
Masa start it's 3 of us. Saya, my COO Irwan dengan CTO Mio.
Okay. Ada funding ke? Start sendiri ke macam mana?
Dia macam ni. So menarik cerita dia, panjang juga. Cukup sejam ni. Dia bila kita start tu, kita tahu yang the market might be there. Kita tak tahu berapa ramai orang sanggup beli, berapa ramai orang yang nak beli, berapa harga dia orang nak beli, apa feature dia orang nak kan. So what I did first was that I create a website sebab I dah tahu buat website. I guna Joomla. I set up satu website as if solution tu memang dah siap tau.
Okay.
Memang dah complete. Siap. I ask my friend, boleh tak I use your picture to put a review?
Okay.
So the purpose of me buat this website is because it forces me to think on behalf of the user tau. Apa yang user nak. So dalam website tu I put all the ingredient, all the content yang I rasa user might want. So I write a lot of articles pasal GPS, pasal car tracking. Kemudian ada satu gimmick I buat, I translate satu page tu completely dalam logat Kelantan. I orang Kelantan. So somehow ada orang terjumpa and then dia orang tweet, ada beribu-ribu tweet. That page pasal very very technical page tapi dalam bahasa Kelantan tau.
Okay.
So that's how people got to know us lah. Kemudian so that time produk memang langsung tak ada.
Okay.
Produk tak siap pun. So tapi I use the website as lead generator tau.
Okay.
So people got started to contact us lah. Call I. Again macam tadi I cakap, I tak tahu siapa customer I tak tahu berapa dia orang sanggup bayar and I tak tahu feature apa dia orang nak kan.
Okay.
So bila I dah ada website tu, I started to get calls every day. Almost every few hours dapat call untuk tanya mengenai produk lah. So that time I terus tanya dia orang, okay sebenarnya you ni untuk personal ke, untuk company ke ataupun what's the purpose untuk you guna GPS tracker ni? You risau ke ke ataupun you takut driver you lari pergi mengular somewhere ke? Okay. Ataupun you dah ada ke GPS tracker sebelum ni? And then I also tanya dia orang, kita orang punya mahal sikit. I still don't know what's our price tau. I just nak gauge berapa orang sanggup bayar.
Okay.
So kita punya, so I play around daripada RM400 kepada RM1,600.
Okay.
So I think I just nak gauge berapa orang sanggup bayar. Kalau dia orang dah ada GPS tracker, berapa dia orang dah bayar sekarang. And then kalau dia orang guna untuk company, biasanya what is the size of the fleet yang dia orang ada. Apa feature yang dia orang nak. So daripada situ bila a few months of doing that, I started to see berapa harga yang I patut offer.
Okay.
I started to know apa feature yang dalam the first version, the MVP product tu, apa benda yang patut ada. Yang wajib ada. Bila ada benda ni je orang akan beli. Sebab kadang-kadang orang teknikal ni, kita shop sendiri tau. Kita nak tambah semua feature yang ada. Baru kita nak jual. Padahal customer might not want it pun. So what we did is that kita interview customer dulu, tanya dia orang berapa dia orang nak, apa feature yang dia orang nak, berapa fleet size, apa kegunaan dia orang lah. So the website was made dalam I think June, July macam tu, and then by September I have quite a good idea lah what I need to do. And then we start development. It took us macam 2 months je untuk come up with the prototype. Okay. Tapi by the end of the 2 months, so duit kita pun dah habis tau. Okay. So duit dah habis. So macam mana cakap? Kan we already had a website. We have a list of all potential users. Okay. So I sekarang email, hantar message kat dia orang, cakap kalau korang beli sekarang, you'll get the product at discounted price. Sebab kita akan release bulan 1. Okay. So kita hantar message kat semua orang tu, kita pun dapat dalam RM40,000 worth of pre-sale.
Okay.
So
they paid you first before they got the device?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And then you went and bought the device?
Correct, yes. So by bulan 1 tu, device kita dah import, development dah ready, and then kita start selling lah. Okay. So maksudnya, I think before you make a business, make sure you have the customer first.
Okay, so customer ni sanggup tunggu 6 bulan lagi untuk you come up with the product?
Dalam sampai bulan-bulan, dalam 2 bulan setengah macam tu lah.
Okay. Okay, interesting.
So the moment, as long as you can solve their problem kan, and then the price is within their budget, kita dah tahu apa yang dia orang nak, it's quite easy to get the customers in lah.
Okay. So kalau to the audience out there, kalau ada apa-apa soalan yang you nak tanya kepada Syed, please do ask us in the comments. Okay. So now, katalah sekarang ni kan, but you have evolved, right, since the 2014 lah you start business kan?
Yeah.
And now 6 years later, nama memang kat sana daripada start ke?
Pardon?
Nama you memang kat sana daripada start.
Oh yes, betul.
Daripada, is it betul-betul daripada ke mana ke sana?
Tak ada. Betul lah. Kat sana is dekat sana lah. It's
Okay.
over there. So asalnya macam I nak buat di sini, di situ, kat mana. Bila I search, semua domain ni taken tau. Macam I ingat.
Taken.
Kat sini kot. Kat sini dengan kat mana is taken by a Singapore company tau. Dia buat halal directory.
Okay.
I macam, okay lah, try kat sana. Kat sana.com, available. So I terus letak kat sana lah.
Okay.
That's the idea.
Alright. Sebab I know that masa kita bincang sebelum ni, so you told me that actually the one thing yang you rasa kat sana telah berjaya buat ialah dia dah jumpa the true purpose kan kat sana.
Yeah.
So macam mana benda tu berlaku? Adakah itu pivot ke, or is it a natural evolution of your business?
I rasa macam awal-awal dulu bila kita buat kat sana, it's about nak secure vehicle. To protect your car lah from being stolen. Tapi after a while, bila kita go into the market, kita realise yang profile customer kita mula berubah tau. Kalau dulu personal vehicle yang nak protect Honda Type R, nak protect Alphard, Ford Ranger, Hilux, sebab ini semua kita yang memang senang kena curi lah. Tapi after selepas beberapa bulan, saya rasa pertengahan 2014, kita mula dapat company-company yang besar yang mula berminat dengan kat sana. Kita dapat Hertz, Metrobus, TPM, quite a few lah. And then untuk big company ni, dia orang tak kisah pun kita kena curi. Tak ada orang nak curi bas. Kan? So, tapi dia orang risau orang kalau bas tu speeding, and then orang ambil gambar, ambil video, upload kat YouTube. Bas ni laju sangat. Tengok ni, I tengah drive 120, bas ni 130. So bahayalah, orang tak nak, big company ni dia orang tak nak ada that perception yang service dia orang ni bahaya. Jadi dia orang guna servis kat sana untuk understand driver behavior tau. Nak tahu pada tiap-tiap hari siapa yang overspeeding, berapa jauh dia orang speed, apa pattern dia orang, mana driver yang high score, mana yang very bad score. So that's how kita start to develop capability untuk memahami pemanduan seseorang tau. So by 2016 I think kami come up with a new brand lah, nama dia DriveMark. So DriveMark ni essentially satu cara untuk kita bagi you what is your driving score. Are you a good driver? Are you a bad driver? What is your level? Ada level 1 sampai level 7. Sekarang saya level 4. And then kita akan bagi instruction, how do you level up to level 5, level 6, level 7 lah. This is to make sure yang we are, our drivers kat Malaysia ni are getting better lah. At least ada cara, ada definite step to help you be better driver. So daripada situlah kita discover yang Malaysia ni antara the worst country in the world lah when it comes to road accident. Sangat teruk. I rasa untuk setiap 100,000 population ada, kita untuk setiap 100,000 32 orang akan meninggal on the road kat Malaysia. Very bad lah. Kalau compare dengan Singapore, hanya 4 tau. Kalau compare dengan Japan, hanya 2 setiap 1,000. Kita berkali-kali ganda lagi tinggi kematian dalam jalan raya. So this is how we started to see that there might be some some reason why we started kat sana lah, which is to make the road safer lah.
Okay.
So tapi sekarang that purpose for road safer tu I dah allocate that specifically for DriveMark. Sebab sekarang kita dah pecahkan kat sana kepada 2 company, satu DriveMark, satu kat sana. So the DriveMark itself the purpose dia is to make the road safer, while for kat sana itself the purpose dia is to optimize industrial operations.
Okay.
So because on kat sana we already have a 28% punya team, a company on its own that runs by a different CEO yang tugas dia is to conquer the industrial market lah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
IoT lah, IoT. I think.
Okay. Yeah. So then, so at this stage, do you have your own products or macam mana? Are you manufacturing your own equipment?
Oh, we never manufacture. Bukan we never, tapi we are still importing from multiple providers, the hardware tu. Because the thing about technology hardware ni, kalau you develop your own product, you have to be sure you have the market to sell it. Tapi for the market in Malaysia, it doesn't make sense for us to manufacture a product. It's because the market is too small. So we and then satu lagi, especially kalau type product ni, electronic product, dia punya life cycle tu is very short.
Okay.
Bila you dah develop satu feature, tengok dah ada feature baru dah.
Okay.
Dah ada. So it's better for you to use supplier yang memang suka sangat. Let them figure out what are the new features. So kita import the product and then kita integrate with our platform lah. Sebab at the end, kita rasa kita punya kita punya unique selling point is that we develop our platform 100% from scratch tau. So whenever kita jumpa new customer yang ada certain requirement, we are able to quickly develop new features to fit the customer punya requirement. In comparison to a lot of other competitors, they tend to white label everything, daripada hardware, pada software, kepada infrastructure, everything dia orang white label. Jadi dia orang tak tahu the solution intimately tau. Dia orang tak tahu secara detail. Jadi kebiasaannya orang yang buat macam ni is a trading company. Dia orang ambil solution very cheaply, hardware very cheaply from the outside, and then they will just add some margin and then they just sell it. What we discovered so far is that competitors yang buat there is no problem doing that. Kalau it's your business, then it's okay lah. Tapi for us, we feel that there are opportunity to innovate new things because we develop the solution on our own. So that's how we are unique compared to the rest.
So then like adakah masa beginning tu kat sana ada tak you guys apply for grants ke, apply for funding ke?
Oh ada. Masa awal, masa 2014, kita terus jumpa Cradle, we need money because we need to it's about developing technology kan, so there is some upfront capital that you need to invest on lah. So kita jumpa Cradle and then after a few months of Cradle, we were rejected.
Oh
sebab
no.
Tak, it's good tau, it's good we were rejected. I thank you lah Cradle just reject us because kalau kita dapat duit Cradle that time, we might be focusing on the wrong things. Kita mungkin sebab that time 2014 kita punya macam mana world view, kita hanya nampak yang is GPS tracking untuk protect cars. Kita tak nampak yang GPS tracking for road safety, GPS tracking untuk industrial operation. Kita tak nampak that. So our plan back then is just to have macam distribution channel, to have our installation bay, a shop. Doesn't make sense lah. Itu macam just a regular GPS tracking kan. So bila we were rejected by Cradle, that is the time when kita realise, we don't have any money, so how do we make money fast? So to make money fast is to sell to the customers lah. So kita start approach all the big companies to get them to be on board, and from there we are starting to generate money lah. Kemudian tapi ada masa kita apply for Cradle, they also suggested to us to apply for Teraju Super. So bila masuk Teraju Super is also a good thing for us. Kita won. Tapi kita won sebab kita berjaya pivot our idea daripada original idea dengan Cradle dulu nak jual GPS tracker. Tapi bila dah masuk Teraju Super, kita dah learn a few things, and then kita start approaching the industrial side of fleet management tau. And Teraju see this potential, and then they awarded us the grant lah. It's a $500,000 grant tahun 2014.
One of the first few recipients, right? You guys were one of the first few recipients?
Correct, yes. Kita batch pertama menang Teraju Super.
Congratulations. Okay. So adakah itu membantu?
Thank you.
Because sometimes the grant money takes a long
Sangat
time
membantu.
kan? Okay.
It did take quite a fair bit jugalah to be disbursed. Understandable sebab kami batch pertama. Tapi in the meantime tu, again, not having money forces you to find way to make money. So by the time duit Teraju Super mula disburse to us, we use the money for additional development lah.
Okay.
So whatever that we have planned for Teraju Super, bila duit dah masuk, kita dah lengkap dah sebab ada delay kan.
Okay. So then and then like so would your advice be kalau orang tu baru nak start business, cari grant or cari customer? What's the first thing yang you put up?
I think customer lah. The first thing I think cari customer and then identify how much they are willing to pay, and is the market big enough ke tak. Market tu perlu besar supaya bila anda dah mula grow the business in the market, ada what do we call it, adjacent market, what's the term boleh so let's see from our perspective. Our first idea was GPS tracker untuk cars. Kemudian bila kita buat, kita realise sebenarnya if we were to target industrial operation, big enterprises, they have a stronger need for the solution because dia orang guna this solution every day.
Okay.
Kalau compared to consumer, dia hanya pakai solution, dia hanya appreciate the solution bila kereta dia hilang.
Okay.
Enterprise dia akan pakai solution tu every day. Jadi you are anda akan jadi sangat terikat dengan operation dia. Bila solution anda terikat dengan operation customer susah nak lari. Customer akan bayar je bulan-bulan.
Faham.
So bila you nak start business, make sure you have a market yang decent, yang good enough, yang besar enough for you to grow, and the customers are willing to pay for it.
Okay.
Sebab banyak je benda yang orang akan pakai, tapi are they willing to pay for it? Tak kan?
Okay.
So macam kami, I was lucky bila kita buat dekat sana.com website, we start to get leads. Kami kumpul inquiries daripada customers, and bila kita nak jual pre-sale tu memang orang beli. So itu dah jadi satu bukti mengatakan yang apa yang kita nak buat ni, the market is there.
Okay.
So you bukan buat benda yang short sendiri.
Okay. So macam mana, sebab selalu kan kita selalu dengar cerita macam company kat Malaysia ni susah nak support produk Malaysia. Yang selalu nak beli luar negeri dulu and then things like this lah kan. So macam mana you dapatkan that first customer to believe in you, to actually invest in you, macam mana Jong?
The early customers yang kita dapat sebagai contoh Metrobus, kebetulan Teknologi Park Malaysia dia ada buat satu expo, I think dekat KLCC kot. Kemudian dalam expo tu kita dapat a few leads and then one of the guy rupanya daripada Metrobus. And then daripada situ kita mula borak and then dia kata, we do have requirement to install GPS tracker untuk check driver behaviour semua kan. So that is one lah. By attaching your company, there is this, ada satu English term, nama dia credibility by association. Maksudnya sebagai company baru, orang mungkin tak percaya lah, ni baru ni, dia orang tak lama, after a few months memang lingkup kot, buat apa nak guna dia orang, bahayalah. Tapi as a new company, kalau you start to associate yourself dengan a bigger reputable, respected company. Sebagai contoh, kami masa awal tu, kami rapat dengan Teknologi Park Malaysia. So orang nampak yang, we are strong, we are related to Teknologi Park. Jadi orang mula percayalah kat sana. And at the same time, kita also menang award daripada yang teraju tu kan. Jadi orang mula percayalah. Tapi quite a few of our customers juga yang jenis we get them because of relationship now. It took us a few months for our product to get ready. Tapi before kita release the product, this customer kita always in contact. Kita tanya dia almost every week. Okay, kalau ada feature ni, you suka tak? Sekarang apa problem you dalam operation you? What are the things yang you need to be solved? How we can help you reduce your wasted hours? How can we help you improve your efficiency? So bila customer nampak yang kita eager untuk develop solution yang memang khas untuk dia orang, dia rasa macam maybe it's good for us to work with them lah.
Okay, so at this point jangan belum kata jangan nak bayar dulu. You are just macam merisik je lah katanya.
Kita merisik, kita tanya. Sebab again, macam saya cerita awal tadi, satu, I tak tahu berapa harga orang nak bayar. Yang kedua, I tak tahu feature apa yang dia orang nak. Kalau I develop feature tanpa risik dia orang, then shop sendirilah, membazir masa my money, membazir our developers punya time, membazir customer punya time. Sebab at the end, aku beli tapi feature tak ada. Feature tak kena with me. So that's why you need to start merisik lah before you jual.
Okay.
Target your market first. Know exactly who your customers are, how much they are willing to pay, what they want.
Okay.
So that's how I suggest lah. Jangan, especially kalau orang yang technical, dia we tend to develop things yang orang nak. Yang kita rasa, kalau feature ni tak ada, kita tak boleh release. Bahaya tau. Bahaya tau, sangat bahaya.
Betul. Okay. So then so with this COVID-19, does it affect your business at all ataupun business tu jalan macam biasa?
Severely affecting.
Okay.
Because again, right now, our consumer business yang private vehicle maybe 3% je daripada business kita orang. Nanti 5 to 97% ni mostly enterprise, industrial. So apabila MCO ni happen, obviously even big enterprise yang buat construction, yang ada beratus-ratus vehicle, yang ada port, they have to close their operation tau. So bila close operation, no one in the office yang boleh settle our invoices lah. So in March onwards, we saw I think dalam 70-80% drop of our revenue collection.
Okay.
It was very bad. It was very bad.
Okay.
So itu
they are still paying, right? Just that they haven't paid je. They are still your customers, right?
The invoices is there lah. Yes, the invoices is there.
Okay.
So now bila dah mula remove sikit restriction, the payment start to come back lah.
Okay.
We are alhamdulillah lah, memang getting better lah.
Okay.
Dia
sebab kita
impact of,
sorry.
continue.
No. So your importing pun is affected as well?
So the impact of COVID ada multiple front, bukan setakat collection of payment. Tapi because for kat sana, we don't really sell a product. Kalau you look at our website, right? Now we have learned that it's better for us to sell solutions. We consult customers what are the things that they need. So we don't go to customers to sell, hey, we have a GPS tracker, you might need this. Tak. Kita go to customers, what are your problems? Let's see how we can solve it. So that kind of approach we call it consultancy approach lah, business consultancy. So when we go to customers, that kind of approach require a lot of face time dengan customers. Meeting, jumpa daripada the top bosses sampai the media manager, sampai orang on the ground to understand what are their pain points tau. So bila you do business like that, you will have the entire organisation understanding apa yang you nak offer. You have overview of how you can help this organisation to be better tau. So when you offer a solution, your solution is customized for them lah. Tapi this kind of approach require a lot of face time. Jadi bila COVID happens, kita tak boleh jumpa customers, tak boleh nak set up meeting. So all this business development akan stop lah.
Okay.
So
then,
tapi continue.
Tak apa. So masih jumpa customer ni kan. You guys are very young, look very young. So ada tak ada tak orang rasa macam kenapa budak-budak dia datang cakap pasal benda ni?
Saya cakap kalau kita first time jumpa customer, ini kira macam dalam semua hidup first time jumpa customer, itu yang firasat you tau. Firasat you, orang akan pandang rendah. Sebenarnya tak tau. Sebenarnya bila you have that eagerness to jumpa customer, to show what you can do, customer akan impress tau. Budak ni muda tapi dia punya vision besar.
Okay.
And then the customer that they already work with, they all trusted you. Dia akan jadi macam it's easier for you to convince them sebab dia nampak you eager. Dia tak nampak macam you nak menipu dia orang tau.
Okay.
I would recommend those yang still young, pergi je jumpa customer. The first few time jumpa customer tu memanglah gelabah. Tapi after a while, you know what to talk about. You know kalau this is katakan cold chain atau cold truck industry kan. You know what are their key points, apa term-term yang biasa diguna dalam industri. So the moment you understand the terms, you can speak the same language. Bukan the same language bahasa Melayu, bukan. Maksudnya the same term. Then orang akan nampak, dia ni I think I want to trust this kid lah. Dia nampak eager, they want to understand us. I want to invest in them lah. Invest maksudnya I can afford to subscribe to their product and see how it goes lah.
Okay. So you would say that kita punya ecosystem di Malaysia ni, corporate companies are open kepada startup dan boleh membantu dan boleh.
I don't mean that company are open to startup. I mean that company are open to solution yang can help them.
Okay.
Sebab kadang-kadang again, sometimes new companies can be shocked sendiri. They feel that kalau dia jumpa customer, kalau customer tak pakai solution dia orang, customer tu akan bankrupt. Kalau customer tak pakai solution dia orang, customer akan rugi. Don't be like that lah. Biar nampak bila you jumpa customer faham apa you can offer, how you can help the customer, and then you merisik dengan dia orang. And then dia orang start open up lah. It takes time. Tapi after a while, bila you dah kumpul 1 or 2, 3 or 4 companies, you dah gain experience, the next businesses akan be a lot easier lah.
Okay. Yeah. So then we have a question from Faiz. Dia tanya pasal, I think pasal Drive Mark. So ada ke adakah plan untuk drive mark lah ke, bekerja dengan syarikat insurance?
Oh, memang dah pun.
That's it lah, okay.
So you can open up getdrivemark.com. Getdrivemark.com, okay. Bila you renew insurance guna drivemark, Etika Takaful, Takaful Ikhlas or Allianz, dalam tu you renew insurance and then every month you only need to show that you drive safely. Every month kita akan bagi cashback based on your driving behavior. I think our friend here, Yusnu, is getting some cashback already every month.
Okay. So Yusnu is a good driver lah kiranya.
Oh, he is really good driver dah.
Okay.
Yusnu, I think level 7. I still level 4. Susah how level 7.
Okay, so sekarang ni I also heard that you have gotten VC funding kan? So macam mana benda tu telah berlaku? You merisik diorang ke, diorang merisik you ke macam mana?
VC dah lama dah, 2016 daripada Azata Digital Innovation Fund, ADIF. Itu pun merisik juga. The first time kita orang jumpa ADIF, we were rejected. Because we had the same idea, buat GPS tracker. Semua orang buat GPS tracker. So ADIF nampak lah, benda sama je. There's nothing innovative lah. Tapi bila kita start in 2015-2016 to realise yang data yang kita collect ni has a lot of kegunaannya yang lagi banyak, seperti nak memahami behavior driver. That's why kita start to develop that scoring, and then when kita approach data again, they start to be receptive lah. Dia nampak yang this is a new way to do insurance. Kalau dulu motor insurance ni is based on value of the car tau. Katakan kereta tu value RM50,000, then expect every year you bayar dalam RM50,000, maybe RM1,200 kot setahun. Tapi sekarang harga insurans yang you kena bayar bukan setakat bergantung kepada value kereta, tapi also bergantung kepada how well you drive, berapa jauh you drive, berapa baik you drive, you suka speeding ke tak. So bila look at that, baru kita Azata nampak this is a new opportunity lah. Sebab kalau we refer to perkembangan kat luar negara, kita akan nampak yang dekat US, dekat Europe, dekat South Africa, dekat Italy, benda-benda macam they call it behavior based insurance. Insurance yang bergantung kepada behavior perangai.
Cara pemanduan.
Cara pemanduan. Dah lama dah kat sana. And then ada a few startup yang memang dah value 4 billion, 5 billion, 10 billion, macam Root Insurance and so on. So it's proven it works there. So now we have to introduce Malaysia lah.
So now you have two separate companies, DriveMark dengan kat sana, ataupun you are still managing both?
We have Kasana Holdings. We have DriveMark, we have Kasana Fit. DriveMark Kasana Fit tu subsidiary of Kasana Holdings lah.
Okay.
So each of these subsidiary ada their own CEO. I just the group CEO kat atas lah.
Okay. So the VC is investing in the holdings?
Betul, yes.
Okay. Alright. So ada soalan daripada Fairul. How did you see the culture of work from home for Kasana? Are you implementing this ataupun you said that everybody dah start kerja balik kan? So you will not be doing work from home ke macam mana?
During MCO tu memang everyone work from home lah, tapi kita memang dah familiar with work from home concept ni daripada dulu lagi. Jadi it's not a hard transition for us to go into fully work from home punya mode. Lagi satu sebab I feel, especially bila kita dah set up sendiri kat sana affiliate, we have quite a strong reporting dengan KPI lah. So I don't care whether you can, kalau kata hari tu you need to accomplish a certain task, kalau you can accomplish that in just 2 hours, the rest of 7 hours you nak tidur, tak kisah, it's up to you as long as you complete. I think that report structure we quite nailed it already lah. So it's not an issue for us to, sebab banyak some companies, they are not familiar with work from home, they are not familiar with reporting, performance reporting and so on. Jadi apabila staff kerja kat rumah, dia jadi ragu-ragu, dia orang ni buat kerja ke tak? Dia orang ni what's their productivity level? I punya recommendation is to have a strong performance reporting lah. To have a good structure, siapa report to what, ada middle manager yang tahu how to manage people semua lah. Kemudian apa lagi ya? We are result oriented. Jadi kita tak kisah how fast or how itulah. If you can do things faster, then it's good for you. You have more free time.
Okay. Okay, so then talking about all this funding semua kan, so memang ramai orang yang dapat grant lah, dana, tapi dia masih tak berjaya. So in your opinion, apakah menyebabkan dia ni tak berjaya walaupun idea dia diiktiraf or somebody, so that you still get the grants that you need but you still cannot execute it? Macam mana?
Kalau kita tengok dekat sub-studies, right, yang look at the reasons why certain company fails, certain tech startup fails. I just focus on tech startup. The primary reason is not because of the tech itself. Tau. The primary reason is the timing. Whether is it a good time? Is it a good time for your solution ke tak? Sebagai contoh, kalau kita look at dulu kan ada Zune, Microsoft Zune, dia macam iPod tu. So Microsoft Zune is the first gadget yang buat streaming dalam media player. So macam sekarang kita dah biasa dengan Spotify, right? Tapi Microsoft dah buat streaming 10 years ago. Dia hanya charge, I think unlimited streaming, I think maybe $5 a month. Tapi back then, the idea of streaming music from the cloud was too advanced. The speed of the network is not there yet. And then orang rasa macam, I don't want to stream music from the cloud. I want to own my music. I want to store it. I want to have the MP3 file on my device. I don't want to stream it. I don't want to pay every month subscription. Although that subscription is unlimited. Tapi sekarang, if we want to compare, tapi Zune flop, and sekarang because of Spotify, everyone is willing to pay $15 a month untuk Spotify. So the biggest problem is timing. Yang kedua yang rasa is market understanding. Again, some companies, they tend to be bukan nak cakap short jadi, tapi too attached to the idea tau. Maksudnya bila dia jumpa customer ada some other requirement, dia orang tak flexible. Dia orang, we still need to focus on this little idea. So you have to balance it out lah. Sama ada you need to make revenue first ataupun you need to stick to the don't be, or you are fixated to your idea. Macam dulu memang kita nak buat GPS tracker, tapi after a while kita nampak yang it makes a lot more sense to go for enterprise customers. Sebab kalau kita go for enterprise customers, you only need to tackle the boss or those yang buat decision maker, and then immediately dia orang akan beli 50 unit, 100 unit of our solution. So we start to adopt lah. So satu, macam tadi I summarize, satu timing, second is understanding of the customer lah. The third one yang I rasa also agak bahaya kalau you dapat grant funding awal, there is such a thing as too much money tau. Bila you ada too much money, you akan spend duit untuk benda-benda mengarut. Sebagai contoh, you akan spend duit untuk renovate office, you akan spend duit untuk beli komputer mahal, you akan spend duit untuk tambah new staff, new team members, tapi you don't have a strong reason how does this team member can be productive for your business. So itu bahayalah. Itu another thing lah. I rasa tiga benda lah. Satu, timing. Kedua is understanding of the customer. Yang ketiga is too much money lah.
Okay. So, ke manakah Kak Sana lepas ni?
Ke mana?
What is your vision? Like 5 years from now, where do you see yourself?
Saya fikir dah 6 tahun dah buat benda ni. Dah 7 tahun dah. Kat Sana itself, kita dah separate kan. Satu Drivemark, satu kat Sana. For Drivemark, we aim to be an insurer lah. We aim to be a new type of insurance yang we don't sell insurance, tapi we create a community. We create a community of safe drivers, orang-orang yang pemandu selamat ni, dia orang join our insurance because dia orang rasa they can get a fairer insurance. Insurance yang lebih bernilai lah. Sebab kalau dia orang join the community, dia orang akan dapat monthly reward, dapat join program, dapat join challenges, macam-macam lah. That is for Drivemark. On kat Sana side, kat Sana Isya, kita tengah grow on IoT, Internet of Things. Sebab Internet of Things ni, I think by 2025, dia punya market value is roughly 1 trillion if I'm not mistaken. 1 trillion USD worldwide. So it's a very big opportunity lah. And then sekarang pun kita tengah grow very fast in that segment. Kalau dulu kita buat tracking untuk vehicle kan, yang mobile objects, vehicle macam kereta, bus, lori, traktor, 4x4 and so on. Tapi sekarang, using this technology, kita dah mula grow into fixed object in tracking. Skid tank petrol yang besar tu, diesel, crude palm oil, minyak kelapa sawit yang tank besar 15 meters high. So we do monitoring on that, performance monitoring dalam factory. So that industrial lah, we are growing in the industrial side.
So would you say that you are now focused on more smart city solution ke macam mana?
Yes. Kita tak realize that. Kita sebenarnya tak ada plan pun nak masuk into that. Tapi bit by bit, the technology that develop tu dah overlap lah. There's a lot of overlapping in the requirement lah.
Okay. Alright. So I guess kepada people yang interested in this industry lah. What is your advice to them? Macam mana dia nak tahu, okay sekarang ni dah tepu ke market ni, boleh ke nak masuk? Apa gaya?
I rasa macam ni lah. Persoalan tepu ke tak tu, itu persoalan yang sepanjang masa tak relevan pun. Masa I tak relevan sebab there's always way to create new value tau. Macam dulu macam mana? There's always new way to innovate. There's always new value yang you can bring to the customer. And kalau market tu besar and there's already many players in there, it means the market is thriving lah. The market is good to enter. People are willing to pay for it. That's why there's many players inside there. What you need to do is, kalau I nak suggest, bila you masuk into a particular industry, jangan buat benda yang generic, jangan buat benda yang boleh tapau semua solution tau. Buat benda yang very focus. Buat solution yang very good at solving a particular problem. Bila you dah really good at it, people know you for solving that particular problem, and you do it really well. Lepas tu baru you start to enter new market. Baru you start attack the other market yang orang lain pegang. That is yang I nak suggest lah.
Okay. So what is Sana's plan to go out of Malaysia?
Kita memang dah keluar.
Kat mana ke berada?
Kita dah, our vehicles now, our solution, kita dah deploy dekat Singapore, Indonesia, Australia.
Oh, congratulations. So,
Itu
will you set up
different two partners lah.
Okay, so you were not going to set up a subsidiary dekat those countries or?
We were planning tapi COVID happens. Normal lah.
Okay. So I guess maybe your final words, to maybe to the government ke, apakah yang langkah-langkah yang rasa kerajaan boleh melakukan untuk membantu usahawan-usahawan?
I rasa the government has done a bit lah. I know that kita mesti ada come up with 100 million ringgit punya loan kan.
Yeah, TSRF tu.
Tapi yang TSRF tu I think hanya applicable untuk orang yang dah ada funding Series A.
VC actually specifically.
VC. So yang tak ada VC are not eligible. Agak susah lah. I tak nak bagi nasihat kat government lah, bukan dia orang dengar pun.
Nasihat kepada usahawan-usahawan je lah.
Nasihat kepada usahawan.
Sebab you kan banyak kali orang reject you tapi terus you teruskan juga. So apakah menyebabkan you teruskan?
Jangan tunggu for a good time to enter the market lah. There's never a good time. Never a good time. Kalau 10 tahun lepas, ekonomi downturn, tak lama lepas tu government tukar, tak lama lepas tu government tukar lagi. Macam-macam. Jangan tunggu, masuk je. Masuk and then try to solve your customer's problem as best as you can. Daripada situ you akan start to create value for the customer lah. Do not bother about technology, jangan risau pasal teknologi pun. Yang paling penting at the very top there is to know who your customers are, apa problem dia orang, apa yang you boleh buat untuk solve. Jangan create teknologi dulu, jangan spend RM30,000, RM40,000 develop a solution. Jangan, tu bazir masa. Jumpa customer dulu, tengok apa problem dia orang, berapa dia orang sanggup bayar. Kalau dia orang sanggup bayar, then baru you develop.
Okay.
So itulah. So jangan tangguh-tangguh lah. Jumpa customers, develop the solution. Lepas tu bila solution dah ready, jumpa lagi customer, betul ke tak ni, you repair, then further reiterate lah. Itu suggestion lah.
Alright, so thank you very much, Fook. I think we had a great time today. Thank you for sharing and kita memang congratulate you on, the success kat sana dan harap-harap you all akan bertambah berkembang lah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so dengan ini kita akhiri sesi hari ini. So jangan lupa untuk catch us tomorrow. So esok kita akan ada another sesi healthcare after COVID-19. So dengan ini digital health after COVID-19, opportunity for startups, dan ini akan dikisahkan oleh Rajifah dan dimoderate oleh Dino, our president of NEF. So dengan itu kita jumpa lagi esok. Terima kasih. Bye.